What did you say I look like? A what?
Like a Boston fisherman. You've got like the scruff on your face and you've got the quarter zip flipped up, like you're going out to catch your halibut and your crabs. And you have that look
I
today.
smell of lobster. It's the first
It's a
time.
good look. I like it.
That's the first time anyone's ever described my look that way. I guess it's fine. I don't
No,
know.
it's totally fine. Well, and it'd be even better if you had one of those big, thick, woolly sweaters on. Then it
Sure.
would really
Yeah.
drive it home.
And,
Yeah.
and if I have to leave here in a moment, it's because I have to go park the car in the yard.
Park the car. Yeah. Get some chata.
Listen, I want to start this edition of After Hours off. And by the way, if you're new to this, we call it After Hours because Melissa and I can't always do everything on the radio show that we want to do. And that radio show is on Cool 105 in Denver. You can find us at cool105.com. But we do a little segment called After Hours because we either didn't get to it while we were on the show or we talked about something on the show and there's more that we have to say about it. Imagine that.
Right. I know.
I'm going to
Crazy.
start with a personal question.
Oh,
Do you feel like you are a people pleaser?
that's funny. Yes. Yes and no, because I feel like I'm a people pleaser in recovery. I am a recovering people pleaser because that is my natural inclination. But I'm working on it because it's not healthy. So
Why
I'm
is
in
it not
recovery.
healthy? What do you mean by that?
Because when you're a people pleaser, you put self last.
Okay.
And you may disagree with something. You may think, oh, I really don't have time to do that. Or that really doesn't work for me or jive with me. But you do it anyway because you want to make the other person feel better.
Right.
So that's why always say I'm in recovery because I'm learning to say no. I'm learning that, hey, not putting yourself first ever is not a good, it doesn't mean you're selfish when you put yourself first. And I think that was my whole thing I learned growing up. Hence the people pleaser.
Yeah, I think I want to come back to something you said about saying no. But before we get to that, the reason I bring
Yeah.
this up is because there was this survey that came out and they asked a couple thousand people if they were a people pleaser.
Okay.
And 48% of people said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And color me skeptical that half of the people in America are out to please other people. I don't get that feeling, especially when I'm, skimming around social media or something like that. Do you
Yeah.
feel like half of Americans that their goal is to please other people? I don't see
See,
that.
no, here's the thing. People pleasers aren't trying to please the people they don't know, in my opinion. People pleasers are doing that for the people they're in relationships with. So I think the trolls on the internet that you and I see,
Mhm.
and we all see the comments that are mean and people being mean to each other, that's a totally different thing. I think people pleasers are your interpersonal relationships that you have. Maybe sometimes work relationships, but it's the face to face because I don't think people are people pleasers when it comes to people they don't know.
So one of the segments of this survey that they did is they asked people if they would go to great lengths to avoid conflict. And
Right.
71% said that they do, that they will try to avoid
Yeah.
conflict.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I don't seek out conflict, but I'm not intimidated by conflict. And I feel like I'm able to stand my ground and
Right.
argue my case and stuff like that. So that doesn't necessarily bother me. Do you feel responsible for other people's feelings? Again, half of Americans said yes. I would wish that was a little bit higher, but
Really? No,
yeah,
that's called codependence. If you're,
I,
I'm not responsible. Like if I tell you my truth and it upsets you, I'm not responsible for your reaction to it.
I guess I'm getting hung up on the word responsible because I don't necessarily feel like I'm responsible, but I feel like I contribute to another person's feelings. And
Yes.
I want to make sure that I am living the kind of life that doesn't make someone else have to work too hard for certain things. So I think I'm conscious of other people. Maybe I don't feel responsible, but I feel like I want to contribute to good feelings. If that
Okay,
makes
but are you
sense.
talking about like good feelings for general mankind Or are you talking about like your wife and interpersonal
No, I think
relationships?
I'm talking about my circle,
Okay.
my sphere. I feel
Okay.
like
So you want to add to it versus subtract.
yeah, and I think that's how I'm interpreting responsible.
Ah,
But
okay.
two things I want to touch on here. I think we'll close by talking about that saying no, because that's huge. But when it comes to being a people pleaser, when I knew that we were going to be talking about this, I went off and did some processing, like I do.
Yeah.
And while you are a recovering people pleaser, which I love that expression, I have decided that I am a selective people pleaser, and very selective. And what I mean by that is I will try with the people in my sphere to be a people pleaser, but because of such a lack of gratitude that exists today,
Yes.
that I find after a while, I'm like, fine, I'm done. It's there's an old saying, and when I first heard it, I thought it was maybe even a little ridiculous. But as the years have gone by, I have really subscribed to this. And tell me what you think. It's an old saying that says, the more you do for someone, the more they will resent you. And when I first heard that years ago, I was like, oh, that can't be right. And then I started witnessing it, especially in a professional life, maybe not so much in a personal, but in the professional world, I have found without a doubt, in my mind at least, that the more you do for some people in the professional world, they do grow to resent you. And they certainly don't remain grateful for anything that you're doing. It almost creates a sort of, maybe competition isn't the right word, but it creates a tension. And so I have found that I'm a selective people pleaser, especially in the business world. Like I'll start, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And then after a while, I'm not worried anymore about trying to please some people because they don't appreciate it.
Right. I think, yeah, that could be a whole segment there because I'm a little confused on the resentment piece. Like, I'm sure you have an example, and I don't know if you can share it or not. I'm sure you have, because
Yes and no.
I'm trying to understand. Like, the more you do for somebody professionally, the more they resent you. Because in my mind, I'm thinking of lending a helping hand. Like, for me, it's always been really important to mentor and build up the women around me in radio because I didn't have that when I first came in. I had women that were jealous and petty and tried to tear me down. So I've wanted to do the opposite. And I've had a lot of gratitude from women over the years because of that.
I would, yeah, and I get that, but I would be interested to hear people with comments on that particular element of this. But it's why I'm selective. Like some people I will go out of my way to do stuff for, and after a while, others, nope. It's like you had your shot and you just kind of were an ass about it. So
okay, all right. I'm gonna have to think through that one because I've never heard that quote before, and that's interesting.
Yeah, and I had to think about it because my reaction was just like yours the first time I heard it, and then I had to have like various experiences. I went, oh, now I get it. Now I get it.
Huh.
Do you want to save? Do you want to save the just say no for another segment?
Yeah, I think we have to because this to me is kind of fascinating, this whole thing about the resentment piece.
Okay.
And the fact that you didn't see the resentment right away, but then maybe the resentment with that coworker or whoever it was in the business world, that resentment grew.
I would say coworkers. It's definitely plural.
Really?
Yeah.
And was it male and female or just male?
No, and let me just say this too. I think what I'm trying to get at here too, what I've discovered is that it could very well be an unconscious thing. I don't think they get up in the morning resenting whatever, but I think in an unconscious way that you can do things for people. And after a while, you just get that sense that that's enough.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I'm going to have to give that some thought because I've never heard that before.
You think about it.
Yeah, and the fact that that would affect your people pleasing.
Yeah.
Like you're wanting to do more for others.
Yeah. So you're recovering. I'm selective. What a pair.
Yeah, but I think in my recovery, I have become selective. That's
Okay.
part of the recovery,
Got it.
is knowing when it's appropriate maybe to give up some of yourself for a relationship that just needs that or requires that, versus giving up some of yourself and having that person be resentful and then you're resentful to them for their resentfulness.
It's the snake eating its own tail
It
thing.
is. That's what I was thinking. It really is.
Well, those are our thoughts. We would love to hear yours. You can leave them in the comments. We'd like to know what you think about it. I'm Dom. That's Melissa. It's an after hours segment, and we appreciate your time today. I'm going to go do some whaling or fishing or
Yes.
something.
What's that where they carve the scrimshawing? They carve like the whale bone.
I don't know. Anybody got any chowder?